Hello, I'm Lou and welcome back to Open Up the Cloud. This is an episode in a series called You Don't Know What You Don't Know. As I'm having conversations with different people who are trying to get into the cloud industry, what they're saying is when they go to interviews and things like that, they're getting asked about things like industry best practices, which is really difficult, I suppose, when you're not actually in the industry to understand what the industry is actually doing and what potentially some of those questions are that you might get asked. So what we're going to go through in this series is some more advanced concepts that you can integrate into some of your hobby projects and the things that you're taking to interview. Now, today's topic, we're going to be talking about secrets management. Now, obviously, the first question to answer in this whole equation is what exactly is a secret? Let's say you've built a website and you've deployed that onto your own computer. Now, when you want to actually put that into the cloud, for instance, you're going to start having to interact with secrets somewhere down the line. For instance, if you want to deploy things into AWS account, then you're going to need an access key and a secret key. Let's say if you have a database, then you'll probably need a password for that database. Those are potentially secrets as well. So the three different topics that I want to talk about today are environment variables, which you might already be familiar with. If you are, that's fine. Just jump ahead a little bit in the video. The second one, we're going to talk about encryption. So encryption keys and how to encrypt your secrets to add an extra layer of security. And then the third one, we're going to talk about centralized secret stores, what they are and how you can potentially use them and their advantages. I think the best thing to do actually is to get hands-on and show you how some of these things would look. So if you want to use any of this code here, it's on this repo, which is openupthecloud/cloud-bootcamp. And then you can access all of the tutorial from this video and you can have a play with the code. What I've done also is put this inside a Gitpod container. So if you go onto the repository, if you've got a Gitpod account, all you have to do is press open in Gitpod. That will give you a running environment exactly the same as mine is currently set up. And you'll be able to experiment with these things without having to set up anything sort of like the AWS CLI and things like that. Within your machine, you already have these environment variables there. And what these environment variables do is manipulate the running applications that are on your computer. So what I can do here is actually show you what setting an environment variable looks like. If I go here, export password equals my super secret password. What that's going to do is going to add this property here, password, onto my environment. So within the actual operating system that I'm running here, we're going to have that password property value set. Now I can get that if I do env, which is going to print out all of the variables within my environment. I'm not going to do that because I've got some in there that are potentially sensitive. And then what I'm going to do is grep, which is basically search, and I'm going to do my password. So if I do that and type that in, what you can see is that I've got this password here, which is my super secret password. And what I can potentially do is run other commands like this one here. So echo, and I can echo $password. And what that's going to do is echo the value of password in my environment. So what you can start to see is this is a potential way that you can manage secrets within your application through environment variables. Environment variables are not just within operating systems, it's also a lot of functionality that explodes when you're running things like containers and Lambda functions. So let me show you an example of that as well. If you're using GitHub Actions for your CI/CD, what you'll notice is if you scroll down here on the settings on the left hand side, you've got secrets and you've got actions. And what this is within GitHub Actions is it allows you to set secrets that are available across, in this case, the entirety of my organization within GitHub. So what you can do is you can go in there, add new secrets. I can say my password, my super secret password. And what that's going to do is then make that secret available to all our different CI/CD pipelines. And as you can see here, I can set some different access controls and I can say I want this to be available to private or public, or even I can select the repositories that it's available to, which gives me a little bit of extra fine-grained access to my secret. This is actually within ECS. Now, ECS is a container orchestration platform within AWS. Don't worry too much about what ECS is, but what I just want to show you is this bit here. When you create a task, which is a container within ECS, you also get this option for environment, and you'll also have this option for environment variables. So what you start to see is this concept of environment variables starts to permeate across different areas of application development. We can bundle environment variables into Lambda functions, we can bundle them into containers, we can bundle them into our CI/CD pipelines. So that's one way that we can start to clean up access of passwords and secrets and things like that. Okay, so we've talked about environment variables. Now let's talk about this idea or this topic of encryption. So we're going to use the AWS KMS as our example today. So what I've got here is a series of steps that we can follow in order to have a go at creating a new example password and basically encrypting that and decrypting that and having a look about how that potentially would work within the context of AWS. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to run this command here, AWS create key. What that's basically done is created me a bunch of customer managed keys over here that I can use for encryption. And let me go into this plain text file. Let's say, hello, my super secret password. I'm going to convert this plain text file into base 64. Don't worry too much about what base 64 is. It's just a nuance of how KMS actually works. It just wants it in that specific type of format. And we can do that through running this OpenSSL command here. So now that should have populated at my base 64 file. So that is basically our secret that's ready to be encrypted using our KMS key. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into AWS, I'm going to copy that key ID, and then I'm just going to double check that my encryption is using that key ID. Yep, looks like it is. So what I'm going to do is now copy that command up here, which is AWS KMS encrypt. And what that's doing is that's taking that base 64 file, which is basically our password, It's now going to encrypt that using the key that we specified. And then don't worry too much about these additional properties. JQ is basically pulling out the properties ciphertext blob and putting it into this decrypt text file. That's just to ignore some of the additional metadata that we get returned from this command. So let me go ahead and run that. What we're going to get into that file is our encrypted key here. If I now go back and actually run this decrypt, what that's going to do is going to go grab our AWS KMS key and it's going to decrypt our secret and it's going to show it there, my super password. Why is this useful, or what would you do with this? Now, one approach that you could do in terms of managing secrets is you could encrypt your passwords and then you could maybe store them in your repo. You could decrypt them at runtime when your application starts. However, there's a couple of problems with that. And one of the main problems is actually about secrets rotation. If you're storing your encrypted secret in a repository, then every single repository or every single place that you're going to note down that encrypted password, you're going to have to update if you need to rotate your secret. And when I say rotate secrets, that basically means if your password is potentially compromised, or after a certain period of time that you might want to recycle that password or that secret, which is quite a common security practice, then you can't really do that if you've got your encrypted key scattered across different repos and encrypted in different places. So that's where this whole idea about a central secret store comes into play. Now, a central secret store is basically somewhere that you can store secrets in a central location, surprise, surprise, then pass those tokens to the different places that we need to use them. So in our application, in our CI/CD pipelines, anywhere that we need those environment variables populated, even on a local machine as well. Okay, so I'm going to show you how this works using AWS Parameter Store. So I've got an example here, and what we're basically going to do is similar to before, but this time we're not necessarily going to encrypt first on our machine. And what we're going to do is use this command here, AWS SSM, and that's going to create us a secret that we're going to push off into AWS Parameter Store, and that's going to store that centrally for us. Let me go into AWS here, just quickly refresh, and what you'll see here is now we've created this centralized secret that we can have access to. So if I open it up here, we've got a name, which is the name is my secret. Let me go ahead and create another one and just swap out that for, instead of having name my secret, let's have my second secret. Go ahead and run that. And then again, we're going to store that inside of Parameter Store. If I refresh that, we've got my secret too. So what we're doing here is we're actually storing those secrets in a central location. Okay, so that was a bit of a whirlwind tour of secrets and secrets management, and a couple of different ways that you can either encrypt your secret variables, you can put them into environment variables as well, and potentially also you can use something like Parameter Store. Now, this obviously is a very sort of high level introduction to these different ideas, but what I wanted to do is just show you how they work in practice. And what you can do now is take that repository and take those examples, go and have a play with them and experiment yourself and see if you can integrate those ideas into your own projects. And then you'll have something to talk about in an interview if you're ever asked about secrets management or some of the different nuances or some of the pains and difficulties of doing secrets management. So thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video.